Humanitarian journalism.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:15 this morning, this Wednesday morning, Women's Day being celebrated here in South Africa. It's a public holiday. I will also share a reading with you after this next interview, and it is by Zaybun Mutala. She lives in Vereniging, I think it is Roshni Vereniging. She shared her memories as a 12-year-old girl, her memories of Women's Day back in the day. I'm going to read that out to you a little later on. But let me also just start off by sharing this beautiful little poem that was sent to me by Nisa Hendricks. Thank you indeed, Nisa. It's made my day. She says a dua for all our beautiful ladies. It's a beautiful dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you throughout your life and keep you a place in paradise, inshallah, ameen. May Allah give you the spirit of Hawa, the purity of Maryam, alhamdulillah, the faith of Asiya, the beauty of Sarah, the love of Khadija, affection and knowledge of Aisha, and the blessings of being among them in paradise. Allahumma ameen. And this is for all the women tuned in to us here on Salam Media on this Women's Day. Shukran, Nisa. That's beautiful indeed. Okay, and before we talk with my next guest, she is a colleague of mine. We work together here on Salam Media. Inshallah, she'll be coming back sometime soon. I hope so. We want to share a little video with you before Sabiha starts talking about her journey of grief.
A parent only knows the pain of losing a child because it's a physical pain too. A body sore in every place that loved him. Here's that dull ache in my tummy. It hasn't left since the accident. The first place that loved him and kept him safe. Weak arms, weak legs that will only heal until legs run toward him and arms hold him again.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sure. It's not easy watching that video, knowing that that is a child that was snatched away from his parents, the loving arms of his mother. And I guess she sits there wondering what he'd be looking like today, what he'd be saying, what he'd be doing. And that is a memory that will live with her for the rest of her life. And that is a question she and any parent who's lost a child will live with for the rest of their lives. Every Eid day, every special occasion, every birthday. And when other children reach their milestones, going to school, going to high school, going to university, meeting their marriage partner, the wedding day, and the list goes on. I welcome to the program this morning my dear sister Sabihah Docrat. She is the director and founder of Bling Happiness Sleepwear, and she is going to talk to us today about her very, very painful journey in having lost her child. And she's going to tell us how she has managed to cope with grief. She's going to talk about grief this morning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue giving her the strength to be able to share the story with many, many other families so that they can get the strength to get through to the very, very bleak, dark days of their lives. Sabiha, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. And I don't know what words, I don't even know how to help you take the grief, or I don't even know when I console you what are the words I should be using, or to console anyone who's lost a child. How do you even start? Welcome.
I understand that, Auntie Julie, and also those very close to me as well. You know, they sort of said the same thing, that it's very hard because no words can provide comfort. You know, nothing ever prepares you for something like this. So I understand completely. And thank you for trying. I appreciate that also. And Jazakallah for having me on your show, for giving me the space to talk about this as well. I have started a little book, just to sort of, I found that sharing and talking about it sort of helps me heal and it brings me comfort. But it also sort of brings comfort to the audience out there. So, where I find it very difficult to have one on one conversations, so I might find it very hard to speak to my best friend about what I'm feeling or my thought process. I find it easier to talk about it and share it with a wider audience. But I feel like with one on one conversations with friends, there's no fixing this. Often we go to our friends for a solution, for guidance, for that sort of a thing. But there's no fixing this. Nothing will change this, and nothing will bring Muhammad back. So there is something that I have wrote, and if I may, is it okay if I go ahead and
Please,
read it?
please.
So this was in regarding to directly after, the paramedics called it, and
Take your
and
time. Take your time. Take your time. Allah give you strength.
and at this point, at this point, we knew that there was no going back, and there was nothing. There was like, it was that was it. And so I actually wrote this part specifically after the paramedics called it, and so it talks about the memories that I had about Muhammad, and this is something specifically that I'd like to mention, and I say that I didn't have these memories that day though. I often drift past, present, they merge. I want to talk about him all the time. To anyone, to everyone. That's the thing about death, you see. When the person is no more, they leave you a space as if they were never there. So I talk to remember, and I talk about him to bring him back into existence. So talking definitely helps, and thank you for giving me this space and this platform to talk about it.
May Allah give you ongoing sabr, inshallah. I know you said to me you've started a private blog, amongst people that are close to you, and you share all of your thoughts and your feelings on this blog. I'm wondering how you and your husband support each other through this. Do you find strength from him and vice versa? Or do you both have your own ways of dealing and coping with this tragic loss, the loss of your son?
So I'm actually co-parenting right now. So I have been a co-parenting for about 3 years now. And I think because of the situation, we can't really console each other. But I do believe that as much as the strong support team that I have from my family and from my friends, I'm sure he has the same support from his side as well.
Marf, I didn't realize that. I'm
It's a
glad to hear that you have a very strong support system. Uh, People often wonder, what can I say? What can I do? What words do I use to give this person going through this absolute hole in their heart, which is never ever going to be repaired? What do I say to her to just bring a little bit of strength into her life? But I also know as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolutely Ghafur Rahim, and He gives us the strength to continue our journey. There may be times, there may be such dark moments in your life where you feel, I can't go on. But Allah shows you the light, and there are people in your life, other people in your life, that gives you the reason and the courage to carry on. But before you respond to that, someone's just sent in a message. Let's ask the controller to put that message up again. Let me share it with you. It's our own dearest Shazia Zubair, who says, Subs, you are such an amazing, strong woman. May Allah ease your pain and help you with this journey. Inshallah, Ameen. Thank you indeed, Shazia, for your comments. Sabiha, over to you.
I think what you said is very important is that there's definitely ease that can only come from du'as and that can only come from Allah. A lot of people have said to me that they don't know how I'm even like living, how I'm doing life. And I honestly believe that it is because of the du'as, that I the du'as and also the mercy from Allah, because when the veil is there, you feel it. You feel that sort of strength, you feel the ease, you feel the grief, but you feel like you can go on. But you also feel it when it's not there, when that mercy is not there, and when the veil is not there as well. You feel it. You feel the difference. You can feel yourself, sort of going into a dark place. I often call it a secret world because you have like all these different sort of thoughts that you can't really share with anybody. So yeah, so you feel those questions, and what I've come to realize also from a surah, Alam Nashra, and in there it is Allah Ta'ala says, فَإِنَّمَا الْيُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّمَا الْيُسْرِ يُسْرًا, which means truly with hardship comes ease. And
Alhamdulillah.
what I've realized is that, I think the ease is not after the hardship. The ease is in the hardship, you know. And for me, the ease would come whereby I would have a question the entire day, about a specific sort of event or something that had happened. And somebody, one of my followers will send me a meme answering the question that I have, and that's my ease. Also, the the ease would be when I'm feeling really sad, and and it's, yeah, when I'm feeling just very sad, and my friend would phone or somebody would visit, randomly just rock up. So there are these little moments of ease in the hardship. I find that it's not necessarily waiting for the hardship to be over to get that ease. And this is in a surah. This is something that Allah has promised, that I will give you hardship, I will test you, I will test you with your children, I will test you with your property, I will test you with lives, I will test you with poverty, all of this. But we just have to put full faith in Allah that, if He brought us to this, He's the only one that can take us through it. Um, and once you put yourself completely into that sort of mindset, it just sort of helps getting from moment to moment.
Ameen. And may you always be blessed with such fortitude of strength, inshallah, to make your days easier. But that doesn't and will never take away the memory of your loving Muhammad. What are the types of messages and the types of comfort you received from those closest to you that enabled you to get this far? Because I'm sure there were days in your life as well, shortly after it happened, or even days, dark days when you feel, I don't want to live, my life is empty, I have no meaning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once again, is so ghafur rahim. He will give you the ease when you ask those questions. Um, but what are the types of words and people and instances and situations um, that made you pull through, knowing Allah is watching over you and Muhammad is definitely in the garden of bliss?
And I understand this completely spiritually, that he is in a better place, and that, this was his sort of destiny, and there was nothing that I could ever do to change it. This was written for him, even though he had such potential, Auntie Judy. He was very different to Mishka and Suleiman. My friend reminded me of this the other day and said to me that, do you remember once I asked you which one of your three kids are you closest to? And you said Muhammad. Muhammad would have been 8, so he returned to Allah on his Islamic birthday, um, at the exact time on the same day. So he wasn't just very special to me. I feel like he was special to Allah as well. It was on the 11th of Shawwal. So it was too much of a coincidence for him to have returned on the day that he was born, on the time and on the date as well, you know. Um, but he was also closest to me in the sense that he would just he sort of took up that role, of being the big boy of the house. So
Oh,
he would watch over Mishka and Suleiman, if we had to go shopping, or if if there was like a small disagreement at home that we had, like I had with them, then he would stand up and explain it to them. You know, he was also the child that he had his own YouTube channel. So he would make videos.
wow.
He all by himself, and I just thought it was like another boy thing. So I never really gave direction or anything of that sort. I left him to do his own thing. Yeah, and he the a Rubik's cube as well. He was struggling the one day, and he called me, and he's like, "I just can't get this right." And by the end of the day, when I got home, he had written the pattern. So he'd YouTubed, the pattern of sort of getting the Rubik's right. And for the next like few weeks, he would ask us to pick a color. There's lots of other things, where he understood that he was responsible somehow for all of us. And he had such potential in the sense that academically, he was an overachiever, a straight A student. He, at the age of 4, he wanted to do archery. So he came to me and he had built a bow. And I was like, okay, you built a bow, you're onto something here. Let's find you a school. So, and also soccer. So he was such a well-rounded child, and he had so much potential. I could see a bright future ahead for him. Um, yeah, so the loss of that is just as hard as the loss of him, because it's a future that we envisioned for him that will never happen. Um, and he was also the first one from the three to memorize my contact number, knowing that if anything had to happen, he has a point, a person to call. And also the only one from the three who kept the Skype, his Skype that I downloaded on their tablets, so that he would call me like through the day. He'd just like Skype me. My beautician actually reminded me of this the other day, and she's like, Remember when Mohammed and you used to have these chats while you were here, you know? So any loss is deep. But here, we mourn for this beautiful child, and also we mourn for his for the future that he will never have. The words of comfort. So spiritually, you understand it, you get it, that he was chosen. I mean, Auntie Julie, what is the one dua that all parents have for their kids? Allah, please grant my kids the best of everything in this world, best of, and grant them Jannah. And here Allah accepted my dua. He's Muhammad sinless. He is in a space where there isn't anxiety, there isn't headaches, there isn't tummy aches, there isn't anything of that. So he is in a better place. A dua has been accepted, and I think when I finally sort of got it, and what sort of brought me comfort was on the day of his mayat, when a lady who I don't know, was sitting with a friend, and she was saying to me that this is your Jannah. Your Jannah is guaranteed, And I could see somewhat of the envy in her eyes. And then I realized what this means. But I also understood that the sacrifice for this is so big, Allah accepts your du'as, but He doesn't always accept it in the way that you want it, you know. Um, so I think spiritually, when people, friends, just remind me that this is your means to Jannah, this will be your, you will see him again, you will have a reunion, all of that brings comfort, yes, from day to day. But it's just the emotional side of it that's very hard. It's accepting it emotionally. That's where the tough part comes in. And there are 7 stages of grief, and you sort of go through it, but you go through it all upside down. It's like chaotic. It's not like, okay, fine, this is guilt, I'm over the guilt. This is regret, I'm over the regret. This is, acceptance. Okay, I'm in a space of acceptance now. I can accept it and I can move on with my life. No. So you will go through all the stages of grief continuously. It sort of loops on a daily basis. You find that you're in acceptance, and then you're like driving and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Like, Muhammad's not with us anymore. He's not here, And then it goes to like, okay, and yes, going back to the ease, I think that this is something that this was the first form of ease, actually. On the day of his mayat, I had to give documents, for the death certificate and all of that. And when I opened that box where I keep the documents, Auntie Julie, there was a note from him at the top of the box that I had kept, and it was only his cards that it's like mishkas are like all over the house. So like when he does, it's also like, everywhere. But for some reason, I always kept Mohammed's cards that he wrote to me. And when I opened this box to take out the lid to sort of find these documents, at the top of the box was his writing that said, I love you.
Oh. Let's go for an ad break, Sabiha. We'll come back and continue this discussion, inshallah.
Okay. They say they can't.
In Salam Media.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman, so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Help us ease the hunger burdens of those in need by donating to the Sanzaf Meals Project. For just 12 Rand, you can provide a freshly prepared meal to an individual. And with your commitment to a monthly contribution, we can reach out to even more communities and deserving individuals. Call us on 011 834 6046 to learn more about this life-changing initiative. Sanzaf, changing lives through development and relief.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 9:41 a.m. We are talking with a colleague. Her name is Sabihah Docrat. She is unpacking grief and the loss of a child. We'll have on the show for at least another 10 minutes, I think, rather another 8 minutes, because Shakira Hunter, Mualima Shakira Hunter, will be talking with us in a short while as well. I feel so very overwhelmed talking with Sabiha about her loss, and I'm kind of wondering, Sabiha, if after your devastating loss, have you had other people come and share their stories of loss with you as well? And did that make it a little easier for you to continue day after day after day?
Yes, and I'm so happy that you asked that to me. Some of the closest friends I have now are moms who are grieving. You know, it's true that only a mom who's gone through it or a parent that's gone through it can understand and can feel it in its entity. So yes, we there is a group of us now that have become very close friends, and in this we bounce thoughts over to each other, which sort of doesn't make you feel like you're crazy, because some of the things that you think is so crazy would be just so out of this world for anybody else, but it brings comfort and ease knowing that you are not the only one that's going through this, that your grief process is the same, and that you tend to all have the same sort of thoughts. Yes. Yeah, so it has broken.
You spoke about the 7 stages of grief a little earlier on, and you're so right when you say that those 7 stages don't work step by step. You'll go through it for possibly the rest of your life, and they'll come to you like this. Step 7 will come to you randomly on day 1, and then out of the blue on day 5, step 1 will, you'll kind of think about step 1 and work through step 1. And that is the process of grieving. It doesn't follow a pattern, as you well know. And I'm wondering if those 7 steps has brought comfort to you in some form or some way or the other.
Sure, those 7 steps are very hard, Auntie Julie. It's really, really hard, and I didn't quite understand what was happening, because I would feel such remorse and such anger, or, such regret, until he reached out to a few people, friends of mine who are coaches, because I try to contextualize it a lot, I put a lot of blame on myself, to be honest, so the comforting part of this is knowing that The 7 stages of grief is natural. You know, it's natural. And I think once the awareness is there, it's easier to work through it. I feel like if you don't know that this is your grieving process, that this is a normal grieving process, it's very easy to get caught up. It's very easy to go into that dark hole and never come out. You know, it's very easy to get depressed. It's very easy to isolate. It's very easy to not want to interact with anybody. You know, it's very easy to, if you don't understand that, okay, fine, this is a normal process and I need to allow myself time and be gentle with myself through this process. So I think the most comforting thing for me is knowing that, you know what, this is normal. It's normal to go through these stages. I may feel regret, and it's okay to feel regret, you know, but I just sort of don't suppress it. I let it be there, and then it sort of washes over you, and before you know it, it's not there anymore.
But it will revisit you from time to time throughout your life, undoubtedly. That's what the grieving process is all about. Allah give you strength and sabr through all of that. I'm kind of wondering if people ask you, I'm not, how many months is it since Muhammad has passed away?
3 months.
3
It's
months.
3 months on the 1st of August, yeah.
Okay, so undoubtedly other people will reach out as well who have gone through something similar, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, but the pain is still there. It doesn't go away. What do you say to them? And also the other two children, Sulaiman and you mentioned your daughter's name, Mishka.
That's correct, yeah.
Do you find that they give you the strength to carry on? That when you're in a very dark place, just thinking about them pulls you back out of the darkness?
Definitely, definitely. And I'm so grateful that we left the accident scene unhurt. You know, I'm so grateful that Allah was merciful to us on that day, you know, even though it was Muhammad's time of death, we were fine. But yes, you know, I find that if I'm crying, then they get sad. So if I'm not crying and if they see that I'm okay, then automatically they feel fine also. But I also feel that as much as I've been their strength, they've been my strength.
Absolutely. Okay, we've got about 3 minutes to wrap up. I'd like you to obviously give me all of your closing thoughts on this matter. Just once again, if you find somebody else in the situation that you're in right now, what words of comfort would you share with them?
I would tell them to find your strong, you know, to and this is what how I get through day to day is that at the beginning of the day I count how much strong I have, you know, and then I'm like, okay, fine, I'm strong enough to make lunch, but I'm not strong enough to make supper, so I'm not going to make supper today.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
strong enough to brush my hair, but I'm not strong enough to maybe take my vitamins, you know, and then I sort of prioritize what's important and what I need for that day to get through the day. And everything is not urgent. I don't need to get through everything, you know, in every day like before, because then it becomes very, very overwhelming. Yeah. So that has helped me, you know, at the start of the day. I mean, I've been making my bed for like forever, but I haven't made it since the accident because it's such a natural, normal thing, but I don't have strong for it. So my helper makes it now, you know, and I don't beat myself about it. I don't, you know, I don't feel bad about it. I understand that I've gone through something so big and that I can only focus on so much with the overwhelming emotions that I'm feeling on a minute by minute basis.
Are you able to start going out and meeting and interacting with other people? Because I should imagine just when it happened, you just wanted to shut that door and go into your dark little hole and shut the world out completely. You didn't have the capacity or the emotions to deal with anybody outside your own little space, your own little world. What's it like now for you?
Auntie Julie, nothing sort of like brings comfort for me, I'd be at home alone and I didn't want to be at home. So I would go to my sister or I would spend some time with family, but then I didn't want to be there, you know? Um, I would, so you tend to understand that you just have to cry and carry on. You have to learn how to grow around the grief. Um, yeah, that's all that it takes is learning how to grow around the grief. For the first month, I was not alone, and I find the opposite though. I find it's very hard for me to actually be alone. Um, so I think it's a little bit reversed here. Yeah, there were times when I just couldn't be alone, so I would sort of ask somebody to come and stay with me or go and stay at a family's house. Yeah,
It's different for different people.
it
So
is.
different people find strength from different situations and different people in their lives. I'm going to give you the final minute to wrap up. Over to you, Sabiha. And I just wish if by magic I could have taken the pain away from you, I would have. But I make lots of dua. Allah continuously bless you with sabr and watches over you and your loved ones, inshallah.
I mean, thank you so much for those kind words. And I think the most important thing is everybody's du'as. Du'as are the one thing that's keeping us all together, that's keeping my family together. Otherwise, I think we would have just fell apart with that. And to my grieving sisters as well, Allah always only tests His strongest soldiers, and this should be a means that you can use to get closer to Him, to secure your space in Jannah, to ask Him every single time a tear falls, ask Him for what you want, your palace to look like, how many trees you want. Ask Him for forgiveness for every, tear that falls from your eye. This is your means to asking from Allah because He is with the brokenhearted, and life is so fast. And inshallah, the only thing that gives comfort is the the one promise that we will see those whom we lost and who we are grieving for. We will be with them together one day.
Ameen, Ameen, Thumma Ameen. Shukran very much for your time. Allah be with you and your loved ones. Allah give you continued strength. Shukran very, very much for sharing your story of grief and loss of a child. The time is exactly 9:53 on News and Views right here on Salam Media.